tariffs, when it comes to real estate, tariffs are the thing right now, and every day is different. You never know what this guy's going to do. When you look at what would be common sense, the stock market nosediving as it has recently done, and I mean, it's been up and down, but the nosedive that you saw, typically what you would see is you would see interest rates go down, the bond market go down. And the reason that hasn't happened and there's been trouble is stock market's going down, the 10-year's actually going up. The reason that's happening when it comes to tariffs is because the fear of inflation. And that's been the big thing to get under control to lower interest rates is you don't want to have a low interest rate environment where there's inflation or high inflation, because that doesn't do any good. That's like we're still recovering from the COVID problem. The COVID problem led to so many problems. I mean, what that administration did is so nuts. I think part of it criminal, but we printed $3 trillion, artificially lowered interest rates, so we're flush with cash in a low rate environment. Of course, things are going to get expensive. Easy to borrow money, and there's plenty of available money. And we're still digging our way out of that mess. But now with these new Trump proposed tariffs, the fear is, and it's right, there's a lot of very smart people that are taking two sides of the coin. And I really believe a lot of people don't know the outcome of what or could happen, because there's so many. When you talk about the institution of tariffs and the percentages to these companies or to these countries, it's really hard to predict, because there's like the end in mind is so far away, and that is the problem. And that's why Scott Bessent was saying, look, this is going to take time, because what immediately does happen, the first effect you feel is actually impactful to the market in a negative way, because you will feel inflation. Things will be more expensive. That's the given. But the goal is, by being able to collect hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue and bring it back to the United States to have fair and equal trade, the payoff of that tranche, which is secondary, and also bringing jobs and businesses to America, for America. People can hate Trump all they want. This is an America first agenda, but that's the second tranche and the third tranche. But the first one's the tough part. And that's why you've been hearing Trump say and people in his cabinet saying, look, you might feel the burn for a little bit. But look, love him or hate him, the guy's standing up for America. But most importantly, someone had to be the bad guy. Somebody has to step in, because it's just been this kick the can down the road mentality of let's just rack up more debt. $37 trillion of debt. At some point, like Musk has been saying, at some point you go bankrupt. You just cannot keep accumulating debt. And so Trump has to be what you would call the bad guy, but he's also trying to be strategic about what we can do to bring more money in, like the gold card campaign. That's brilliant. You want to pay $5 million and bypass and get your citizenship quick? Come on over. It's not the attraction of those types of people I would want in our country anyway. That's good stuff. That's out of the box conceptual thinking. The tariffs are thoughts of, look, you've been getting away with murder and taking advantage of America. And we just sat there and let it happen. But now what happens is the tough part he's in is all of a sudden the whole world's position against him as if he's the bad guy for calling you out on your BS. Sorry, this is not about, what he's doing is not about friendship. It's about fairness. Today, all of a sudden, he said he's going to pause tariffs for 90 days. Bang, stock market's up 3,000 points today. Today. Why? Because now there's a less fear of inflation. And I'm reading articles today, people saying Trump's a crazy person, this and that. Yeah, Trump's crazy. But check this out. He's also, it might have been brilliant, because it's not like he woke up today and was like, yeah, I'm going to change my mind. This has been the plan. The plan was and is, it's very simple. And what he's doing is so smart. I'm going to slap these people with these tariffs, and I'm going to let them feel the burn and the effect and have them start thinking, oh my God, what if this sticks? And that's what happened for, a week? 4 or 5 days, whenever it was. And people also, Japan's having emergency economic means. People are freaking out. They're like, this is going to devastate us if Trump sticks to these tariffs. But what was Trump's plan? Well, it was today. Today is part of the plan. It was, okay, now you know what'll happen if I stick to this. So y'all better come to Washington and start negotiating with me so we can have more fair, balanced trade. And that's exactly what happened. All of a sudden, all these world leaders and countries have already bought their plane ticket to Washington, D.C. to sit down and say, what do we got to do? And I was watching Sky News, which is more like European, and all these Europeans are pissed off at Trump. Oh my God, I can't believe he's doing this. Well, you're just pissed off because he's holding you accountable. because you've been getting a free ride. It's like somebody that's been living off food stamps, you take away the food stamps, they're like, that's not fair. Well, you don't qualify anymore and you're taking away from people that do. You're just accustomed to a free ride. So that's what's going on, is this free ride of these countries taking advantage of the United States when it comes to trade, and nobody has stepped up to the plate. And that's what's going on here, and it's brilliant. But guess what? That's why this 90 days was part of the plan, is to say, for a week, you felt what could happen. So come to DC, let's figure out a deal. I'll be fair with you, but you got to be fair with us. And that's what's going on. And so now all of a sudden over these next 90 days, we're going to get all new negotiated contracts when it comes to trade. And that's a great thing, because now if our trade deficits decline by hundreds of billions of dollars, which it will once we cut these deals, now we didn't have to feel the burn of tariffs and the inflation problem on the first tranche of what we saw, because we're working out these deals. Look, I pull my hair out every day, because you got intraday trading of today. I think intraday trading was like 4,000 points. It's unheard of. It's crazy. But what Trump's doing is he's putting the world on notice. And putting the world on notice isn't always the easy thing to do, but it's an America First agenda. And if you're not for an America First agenda, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know why you want to live in this country. I don't care if you're a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican. We should all want America first. We should all want our country to thrive and succeed. And you might hate Trump, but if your Trump derangement syndrome is so bad that you can't sit back and say, look, we are $37 trillion in debt. We need to find solutions to get our way out of debt and bring more prosperity to this country. Just like anybody with common sense would say, we need to secure our borders. What are border crossings down 94%, 96%, 60 days? Any common sense person says that just makes sense. So you don't need to love the guy. You can hate the guy all you want. He's standing up for America. And not everything's perfect, but the trajectory now of seeing these nations saying, okay, you scared me enough, let's talk. Because everything's hearsay, and he knew that. If I just say it, it's one thing. But if I actually do it, that's another thing. So now it's like, okay, we know we ain't messing around anymore. So it's going to be an interesting take on what happens over these next 90 days. You know, the one issue is China, because China's retaliating with our tariffs, and who knows, that'll get worked out. But I find it so interesting, because if people actually read and knew what they were talking about, China needs us a hell of a lot more than we need them. That's a fact. All of these countries do. The impact of the United States clamping down and saying no more, this ain't happening anymore, is leading to people saying, okay, it's not like what Japan is saying right now is, okay, we now understand we were probably taking advantage of the situation, and it's going to suck a little bit to have to give up what we've been accustomed to, but the reality is you shouldn't have had that in the first place. So, I don't know. Bobby, I just love the Trump first agenda. And you know, going back to the real estate side of things, the interest rates are critical. So now that you're seeing that maybe these tariffs won't be as impactful and we can negotiate deals, you should start to see the 10-year dip down a little bit. But it's been in flux. I mean, we hit 3.9, and today, it's just been so nuts and all over the map. But the reason the 10-year was rising against a downward spiral of the market itself is because of the inflation fears. My goal, look, I hope in the end, Trump knows we need to lower rates. We need to get rates down. So really getting a handle on inflation, which it's getting better, but really getting a handle on inflation through negotiating tactics, through better fair trade, and bringing more businesses to this country, energy prices, all that stuff, it's going to lead to a lot more stability so we can get these interest rates down, which is going to be great for housing and great for lending. So I'm on board. You guys might not be on board. Some of you might not be on board. I'm on board. I love this America First agenda.